This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, welcome to the AWS training program. And today's topic is about ACM, that is AWS Certificate Manager and AWS Config. And apart from this, we'll be opening one more PDF and we'll be talking about very important topic, that is cloud formation. So let's start with the agenda. The agenda is overview of ACM, create a SSL certificate, import a third-party SSL certificate, overview of AWS Config, and create config rule for AWS resources. So if you remember, we were creating some load balancer, and while creating the load balancer, it was giving the option whether we want to create a HTTP connection or HTTPS connection. It is applicable to every web service or anything you are accessing over the internet. It's always recommended that you should provide a HTTPS protocol, because that's a secure connection. Whatever you type on your website, suppose you are filling up some form, you may be providing credit card information, right? That is transmitted over internet, and it should be secure, it should be encrypted. Anyone should not be able to read that information in the middle, right? That's why we need HTTPS connection, and in order to provide HTTPS connection, we need SSL certificates. So now ACM is a service provided by AWS which can manage your all the certificates. You can even create a certificate inside the ACM, or you can even import a third-party certificate, because sometimes suppose your company has your own you can say domain and own website and all, maybe the certificate authority as well, right? So in that case, if you have any third-party certificates, you can even import into ACM to manage it in a more effective way, so that you can check the complete set of certificates at the one place. So let's talk about ACM. So it handles the complexity of creating, storing, and renewing SSL certificate, because certificate comes with some validity. Suppose you created a web certificate today which has a validity of 1 year. So after 1 year, you have to renew that. So you can create, you can manage, you can even renew all the certificates from ACM portal. And you can create certificates for your integrated AWS services directly with ACM. I was giving the example of load balancer. If you want a certificate for your load balancer, for your containerized application, or for anything else, suppose you are hosting some web application on EC2 instance. So instead of providing IP address directly to the user, you will provide a secure website URL. So ACM can be integrated with all these services. And if you don't want to create, then what you can do is you can also import third-party certificate into ACM management system. I will show you shortly like how to import that. And ACM certificates can secure singular domain name, multiple specific domain name, and wildcard domain names. What's the difference between this? Sometime you must have noticed that some website has some numbers like 1, 2, 3, because they are maintaining multiple servers. Suppose let's for example like netflix.com. Sometime netflix -1 -2 -3.com as well. Although for the end user, we don't recommend them to use 1, 2, or 3. They should use only the main parent domain. But under parent domain, sometimes there are multiple subdomains as well. So even that can be managed by ACM. And wildcard domains. Wildcard means like it will be ending with something, and after that, or in the beginning, there can be star dot hostmywebsite.com, something like that. That means you don't need to create multiple SSL certificate for multiple website. If you are having similar websites, you can create a single SSL certificate for that, and with the help of wildcard entries, you can use the same SSL certificate for multiple websites. So this is just an overview, just a you can say theoretical detail. How to do it? Let's talk about it. So you can open ACM on AWS Console. Let me quickly show you. That would be better. So I will open my AWS Console. I just logged in. and okay, I will search for ACM, AWS Certificate Manager. Yes, you can see that, and you can read this tagline as well. Provision, manage and deploy SSL and TLS certificates. So we'll click on that. So now there are two things. Either you request a certificate, that means you are creating a certificate with Amazon only, with AWS only, or you can import certificates that you obtained outside of AWS. In my current project, I am telling you from my current project experience, my company has their own domain. They have their own domain, you can say name servers, and they're altogether different team which is managing all the certificates and everything. So whenever we have to generate any load balancer or EC2 instance or any service, we first of all finalize the domain name, which should be ending with my company name. Okay, after that we request them for a certificate, and we go with wildcard certificates because we have multiple applications with similar type of domain names. So we create a single SSL certificate for that. We request them. There is a portal, actually it's not a manual process. There is a portal. We go to the portal, we specify the details there, like why do you need this SSL, provide the justification and all that stuff. And once we submit the request, after some time we receive the SSL certificate on our email. SSL certificate is nothing but set of few files. There is a CRT file. CRT means certificate. There is a PEM file. PEM is like a, you can say, it's like a public private key concept. It is used to connect, log in into your system. So basically, once you will receive those files, with the help of those files, you can import those certificates into our ACM. Let's talk about how to request a new certificate. So you can see this one, request a public certificate from Amazon. By default, public certificates are trusted by browser and operating system. When you open any website, right, you see this one, there is a log icon. That is your showing your detail about your certificate. It is saying connection is secure. And if you want to see who is the, you can say, certificate authority for issuing this certificate, you can see this one, Amazon Web Services. If you want to check for something else, maybe for Gmail, we can check that. It may be from Google. See this one. Google LLC is the company which has provided this certificate. So every company has their own SSL certificates, and we do that. So click on next. You can provide your complete website name, whatever it is, burnyourcalories.com or flyingcakes.com or whatsoever, right? You can provide that. And after that, you can see this one. Select validation method, DNS validation or email validation. Because whatever domain you are providing, right? How do we know that you are the owner for that website? You maybe provide google.com. Does not mean that AWS will issue a certificate for google.com. It cannot. So you have to authenticate yourself. There are two ways. Either you can use with DNS validation. This is usually used when you are the owner of any website, because whenever you launch a new website, there are few details, few configuration about that website. But since the more common way is email validation, that means you provide an email address, and then it will be just you know that, right? They will be sending some verification link, and you click on that, and then you are verified. Something like that you can do. And similarly, you can click on request. So once you submit your request, and after that, it will be like after some time, AWS will issue the certificate for you, and that you can check in your certificates list of certificate. You can see this list certificates. As of now, there is no, you can see that there are no certificates in your account. But once you issue from AWS, or you can import, both options are available, then your certificates will start appearing here. Now let me show you how to import a certificate. So on the left side, you can see that import certificate. Click on that, and you can see that these three sections. Certificate body, there is a private key, and there is a certificate chain. So there are three files. One is ending with CRT. All are text files only. CRT, this key file is ending with .key, and chain, certificate chain, right? That is ending with PEM file. So whenever you import a third-party SSL certificate, you should have these three files: .crt, .key, and .pem. And these are text file. Open them, copy the content, paste into these three. That's all. Not a big deal or not a rocket science. So just paste into these three text boxes, and then you can click on next. As of now, it's giving error because we do not have any SSL certificate with us. But once you provide the detail and once you click on next, and once you go to the next page, it will display all the details. It will display that domain name is this one. If it's multi-domain, it will display multiple domain. If it's a wildcard, it will display wildcard. And it will tell you who is the issuing authority for the certificate. When is the issue date? When is the expiry date? Each and every detail it will display. And finally, you can click on import. And then once you will click on list certificate, it will display the certificates here. So we cannot do it practically. The reason being is we do not have any SSL certificates. And even if you will take from any over internet or something, right? First of all, you should be the owner of a domain. So even you need to pay for it. So you need to pay for your domain name. You need to pay for hosting the application. And if you're buying SSL certificate, you need to pay for that as well. So we are not doing it, but yes, you should be aware about, like, ACM is a service which is capable of requesting the certificate from AWS, as well as you can import the third party. Now you may be thinking that importing is okay. Suppose you imported and now these are displayed here. How to use them? So they are used with integration or to the other services. Just like if you are creating a load balancer, let me quickly show you if I can. I need to check whether we have load balancer or not, because even load balancer are chargeable and I might have deleted that. Yeah, there is no load balancer. But when creating a load balancer, right, there's an option to provide HTTPS connection. And if you will select HTTPS, it will ask you to select a SSL certificate from the drop down. That's the ultimate purpose. So if you have imported or created SSL certificates in ACM, those will appear in the drop down and you can quickly select that. That's the benefit. Okay. So let's come back to PDF and let's take a pause here. In case you are having any doubts, you can ask me. Any doubt? Yaswant and Srikant?
No, I'm good.
No.
Okay, that's good. Let's move to the next topic, that is AWS Config. As the name indicates, it is mainly for managing the configuration of your AWS services. So AWS Config, it provides you a pre-built rules to evaluate your AWS resources configuration and configuration changes. Let me make this line simple. So suppose you have EC2 instance and there are some configuration like what is the instance type, what is the hard drive type, what is the RAM, what is the security group, how many tags are there associated with that, and what IAM role is linked with that. Are you allowing a public access or it's a private access? There can be many configurations, right? So there are many inbuilt rules available. Suppose, for example, you are expecting that none of the EC2 instance should be accessible from outside. That's your requirement. So you can create a rule for that, or there are many inbuilt rules available. You can customize them and you can reuse them as well. What that rule will do is it will scan your resources, not only EC2. You can define for any service. You can define that none of my S3 buckets should be publicly accessible. That can be your requirement. So you define the rules. Those rules will scan your resources and it will generate a report for you. It will not stop to occur that thing. It will not stop. You can see the last one. It can only record the config change. It does not stop user to do something. Suppose you have created a rule that your S3 bucket should not be publicly accessible. But When the user is creating S3 bucket, he or she is making it publicly accessible. Your config rule will not stop the user. No. It will only record that changes. Maybe you can go to the config console and it will complain. It will say that, okay, one resource is not complying to the rule because they are making the publicly accessible. So it's just a quick check, not stopping something. So not only the configuration changes, it can cover OS configuration, system level updates, and other network configuration as well. It can monitor almost all the properties of your resources. And in case you don't want to go with pre-built rules, you can create your own custom rule in AWS Lambda that define your internal best practices and guidelines for resources configuration. As I was explaining yesterday, my company has a security requirement that if we are creating any database instance, whether it's RDS or DynamoDB or Redshift, we cannot make it as unencrypted. We cannot do that. And as and when we do that, their tools immediately catch it. They will send us email mentioning the detail that as per my company's security policy, it's not recommended to create a DB instance which are not encrypted. So it's similar to that, but it will not take any action. It will only record that change. It will only take that entry, and you can just have a quick look. So let me show you how to create config rules. So once you will go to the config console in AWS, you can see this one. Add AWS managed rule. There are many rules already available, which you can simply just select and use. Or create custom Lambda rule. That means you have to define your own logic for that. Or create custom rule using guard. This is a third-party tool and is not in like much use. So I'm going with the first one, and I search for EC2, and you see that one I got approved AMI by IDs. What I'm as a admin, admin of my AWS account, what I want is that any team member, if they are launching an EC2 instance, I will provide a specific AMI IDs, and I'm expecting that they should use only these AMI IDs only. I don't want that they are using here and there. Someone is using Red Hat, someone is using CentOS, Fedora, this one, that one. I don't want that. I want that all team members should go with a specific AMI ID or maybe a set of specific AMI IDs. You can see the description as well. Checks whether running instances are using specified AMIs or not. So you can select that, and after that you can notice this one. Do you want to capture all changes? When any resource recorded by AWS config is created, changed, or deleted. Or when any resource that matches the specified type or the type plus identifier is created, changed, or deleted. Or tags is also there. So there are many things. Some tags, tags are very like optional thing, and tags are not like mandatory. So it's completely up to you that you want to configure only resources or tags or all changes, which includes everything, tags as well as resources and everything. Usually we go with all changes because tags are also sometimes useful. And I am providing one parameter, AMI IDs, and I am providing the AMI ID here. So suppose there is any AMI ID Ubuntu-Tomcat. Suppose for our team, we have created a customized AMI, which is with operating system Ubuntu, and we have pre-installed Tomcat on top of that. And after that, we created the AMI. That's the purpose of AMI, right? That you can install few softwares and then you create the AMI. And next time you want to create a similar type of system, you don't have to start from scratch. You can directly use that AMI, and it would be like as soon as it's up and running, it's ready. So you are putting this rule that anyone is launching EC2 instance in your account, they should use this AMI ID. Again, I would say it will not stop the user. They can even use some other AMI ID, but if you will go to config rule, this console, it will display that, okay, there are few instances which are not following this rule, which are not using this particular AMI ID. So let me quickly show the config on the AWS console, and after that we'll be moving to the next topic, config. So you can see this one. This is my dashboard for config, and you can see all these things like rules 0 because there is no rule as of now. Resources, non-compliant resources. How many resources are there which are non-compliant? So as of now, it's okay. There is no issue on that. If you will come down, total resources 54 because we have created buckets. 5 buckets are there. 4 security groups are there. Network interfaces, KMS key, subnet, dash, snapshot, many things are there. So if you go to the rules, you can go there, and I created one rule, but I deleted after that. So you can always create a rule from here. And if you want something for, let's check for Redshift. You see this one, Redshift backup enabled. Check the Amazon Redshift automated snapshot are enabled for cluster or not. So suppose that is a must requirement for your company, that if anyone is creating Redshift cluster, they should enable the backup. But it's up to user, right? They may not enable it, but you can, as an admin, you can always come to this config console and you can quickly check that there are 5 Redshift cluster, out of which 2 are not following this rule, 2 are not compliant to this. Then you can talk to the owner of those Redshift cluster and you can tell them that you need to enable the backup. Similarly, you can see that KMS enabled, maintenance setting checks, right? So for every service, right, there are a few inbuilt rules available. DB instance backup enabled for RDS. If I search for something else, maybe cloud formation notification check. Okay, so the next topic would be cloud formation. You can see here there is a rule for cloud formation stack notification check. So what cloud formation is, I will explain you in more detail, but what is the meaning of this rule? This rule is saying that if you are creating a CloudWatch rule, you should set up the notification as well. You can set up a notification to an SNS topic. If your cloud formation is successful or it is completed, it should send some notification message, but that is always an optional setting. So as a user, as a developer, I may not be enabling that, but as a admin, you are making it mandatory. You are telling that this should be enabled. Okay, so this is all about AWS config. There are many rules available inbuilt for almost all the services, but in case you say that no, I am not happy with that, or you say that you have a custom requirement which cannot be fulfilled by the inbuilt rules, you can see that there are 261 rules. But if you think that is not fulfilling your requirement, you can always go ahead with your own custom Lambda rule. That means you have to provide the you can say definition for that, the logic for that. Okay, so this is all about AWS config. I am stopping here for 2 minutes. In case you are having any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will be